Hello, I'm Harry Clarke. I'm the council member from the 10th District, and this is the first of several monthly interviews that I'll be doing with people both in the government and outside the government. And I am very pleased to have as our first interviewee the CAO, or the Chief Administrative Officer of Lexington, Sally Hamilton. Welcome, Sally.
Well, thank you. I'm just delighted to be here and be your first.
Well, it is a great pleasure. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. I have, in 1975, I received a PhD in German from the University of Kentucky. And of course, this job doesn't quite have anything to do with that PhD, and neither has any of my other jobs. But it has really served me very well because it taught me how to focus and how to go from A to Z. And I think that's a strength that I've applied to all my other jobs. I spent my career in state government. I was there for 37 years and then came over to Lexington. And I've been here since November of 2011. And with the state, I had various jobs, and I was with the Kentucky Educational Network for 12 years. I was with the Finance Cabinet, the Education Cabinet, and my last stint with state government was in the Auditor's Office for 4 years. Here at Lexington, I started as Commissioner of General Services and was up there for a little over a year when the mayor and the council asked me to be the Chief Administrative Officer. So my experience has been, well, primarily state government, but it's always been government, so which I love dearly.
It's an illustrious career, Sally, and we do appreciate that and understand that. Tell us a little bit about the role of the CAO.
Okay. The role of the CAO is really quite multifaceted. What my job is my job is to coordinate all those activities of the other commissioners. So I have that wonderful bird's eye view of being able, I just walked out of a meeting with Public Works talking about water and sewer. I will talk with social services about the programs that they offer, so I will deal in a lot of homeless issues. I also am working on the Senior Citizen Center with social services, and that's something I really, really enjoy. In general services, we'll talk about maintaining these buildings that we have. You know, we've talked to you about roofs, HVAC, various things. And then one of my primary things is to make sure that we are coordinating what the executive staff is doing with the council. So it is a real multifaceted job.
So in a sense, you're the fit into the overall picture of the city government is kind of an overseer in
That's
a sense.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's an overseer, and it's trying to take those various facets and of city government and make them run as one. And you know, we're very fortunate here in Lexington that we have a lot of very good, capable people. But you know, government, whether it's state, local, federal, it's notorious for sometimes the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. And that's not because you don't have good employees or good communication. It just happens sometimes.
Just happens.
So one of my primary roles is to minimize that as much as possible.
So who are the people that you're actually supervising, Sally? I know you have a staff, but in general,
the people that I'm supervising are what we would term here in this government as the commissioners. In state government, we called them the secretary of the cabinet, or you can call them department heads. And that is like our legal counsel, our general counsel, and our our division of human resources. I would supervise the general counsel. Now, when I say supervise the general counsel, naturally I'm not the attorney. What I try to do is I try to facilitate their role and basically help them do what they need to do in government. Rather than direct them of how to do their job, what I try to do is help them do their job. So I would then be supervising the General Services Commissioner, Public Works, Public Safety, Planning, and then making sure that all their activities, as I said, are coordinated with this council.
Okay. Now, I know the council had a meeting where we actually confirmed you as CAO. So what's the process of getting to that point?
The mayor makes a nomination, and the council confirms that nomination, because my job is not just to purely follow the direction of the executive. It also is to make sure that the council initiatives and policies are carried out in that executive branch.
Right.
So I sort of I'm employed by the executive branch, I am confirmed by the council, and I look at both of those areas as being my primary boss or manager.
Gotcha. And yet I sense that your relationship with the mayor is quite good.
Oh, yes. And I've known the mayor. The mayor and I have worked together since the early 80s on economic development when I was in the state. And I have certainly been an acquaintance and a follower and a supporter of his the whole way. But I have a very good relationship with the mayor, and I have the kind of relationship that everybody wants with their boss, and that is I feel that I can tell him exactly what I think. And that doesn't mean he always thinks the same way.
I understand.
But he never tries to shut me out from talking.
I understand. I feel the same way, because there are times that I have had conversation with a mayor that I just tell him I don't agree with him.
That's
but
right.
at the same time, he's very
That's
open
right.
to that.
That's right.
Well, Sally, I've noticed that you always seem to enjoy what you're doing. In every circumstance that I've been involved with you, you seem to enjoy, even though sometimes there are knotty problems. But what do you enjoy most about your job?
I guess that I really enjoy most, and it sounds like a cliche, but I enjoy most sort of solving problems. I love the relationship between the executive and the council. I think that is fascinating, because I truly, truly believe that good government has to have two branches of government.
True.
I mean, I grew up in that kind of situation with the legislature and the executive, and I just think you get a balance and a better blend, because people that are elected really put themselves out on a line that nobody else, they're a group among themselves.
True.
Because to run for something is different than just working for bureaucracy. So I guess what I really, really enjoy is getting a project and trying to get everybody together to finally talk through the issue and do a little bit of what this group wants, a little bit of what that group wants, and then getting a product that is in the middle and that everybody can accept. That's what I enjoy.
And yet, between the legislative and the executive, we still work as a team.
We do.
And it's very effective,
We
as far as I'm concerned.
I'm working on an issue right now that I was sitting there looking at a thing of memos, and I thought, boy, this is a wonderful way to work. We were working on an issue, and we had our legal counsel, we had the aides from the council. We're both writing this particular thing together, and it's a real team effort. And I've always felt it was a team effort. We're going to disagree, but it's a team.
Absolutely right. Let me ask you some specific questions now. If you could snap your fingers and say, this is one thing I would change about this government, can you think of something that you would say, this could be changed for the better?
Yes, there are a couple things I think could be changed for the better. And these are really inside baseball type things. But sometimes inside baseball has an outside reflection. And one of the things that I would change is Lexington city government now has progressed to, like all other governments, it's grown. And we need to come back and we need to reshape our whole hiring, our whole recruiting, our whole salary schedule. We need to reshape our human resources policies and procedures. And that's not because they're bad, it's because things have changed since those were first implemented. And we need to really, I think, concentrate there. Because unless you have, which you well know, a real satisfied workforce that thinks they can advance in their jobs, it doesn't help you. You have to have that. And the second thing that I would change, if I could snap my fingers, and I'm going to try to snap them, is I think our budgeting process needs some real look at too. Things that are too hard to understand and too hard to explain cause problems. I mean, I think we can simplify this so that the staff, the council, everybody can see these numbers easier and really understand.
Very good. Speaking of human resources, you know that the Division of Human Resources is currently under the Department of Law, and there has been suggestions in committee that it be moved to the CAO's office. And you know that I have expressed well, I've asked the question, why is not human resources a department? Just like law and public safety and so forth, with a commissioner. And so give me your take on that issue, Sally.
Well, I happened to be out of town when this issue came up before the committee, but I think our deputy CAO spoke that I didn't really want to move it to the CAO's office because I'm the final arbitrator on any of these grievances. And I think that final arbitrator needs to be separate, not a part of the initial process. I had never thought about it being a department.
Really?
Until you mentioned it. And I'm not saying this because you're sitting there interviewing me, but I told the committee the other day that I thought we need to talk about that issue because it goes back to just what I said a few minutes ago of what I would snap my fingers. I think we ought to look at really changing a lot of the ways we do things, policies and procedures, and elevating this whole, it's now past a division.
Right.
We have training things that we need to do, and it needs to be, in my opinion, its own department.
I agree with you, and I told the chair of the committee, Steve Kay, that I'd like to put that as well on the agenda, other than just moving it from law.
I agree.
Talk about it being a department itself.
And that's not a criticism.
Right,
that's
it's
just,
not. It's common.
Elevation.
It's common for any major corporation.
I agree.
Well, anyway, one more question, Sally. This is a leading question. How would you feel about abandoning the charter name of Lexington, the urban county government, and just simply calling it Lexington or City of Lexington?
Well, you know, I hear the mayor talk about LFUG or whatever he calls it all the time. I already refer to it as Lexington.
Yeah, so do I.
I just can't get all that out.
Yeah.
And if anybody asks me where I work, I just can't tell them LFUCG and keep on going and going. So I've abandoned it already.
Have you? Okay.
I call it Lexington, and I apologize for being so presumptuous, but I think it's something really needs to be considered.
I think we should consider it as well. Well, let me say finally, as we wrap this up, I have enjoyed working with you greatly in the in the government here, and in the 8 months. Yes, I think it's been eight months so far. What would your message be to my 10th district constituents?
Well, I think my message would be what I'm sure they already know, is that you're somebody that they can comfortably speak with.
Oh,
they can tell them, you're like the mayor with me. I feel that they could tell you anything and express their opinion very honestly to you, and you will carry that opinion to this government center. And that's what all of this is about. I mean, I think we saw that in some of the things that we've recently done, Salt Barn and things like that, that neighborhoods speak.
Yeah.
And neighborhoods that talk to their representative will have a voice. And I think that they certainly should know that you're a voice that's always going to listen to them.
Well, I appreciate that. Sally, it's been a pleasure having you in this inaugural interview.
Well, thank
and
you.
we look forward to doing this many times in the future.
I've
Thank you.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good.